It's so good to know you could join us this beautiful afternoon in the city of Abuja for the program The Polity. I'm Mikki, Attah, and I'm actually sitting in for your regular host, Daya Omogun, who will be joining you in a couple of days. So in the meantime, we are going to dive into what we have for today on The Polity. Well, the polity is all about the nitty-gritty of political, socio-economic life and that kind of a thing. But you know that we are all guided by special days of the United Nations. And February 4 every year is marked as the International Cancer Day. So today's program will take a little difference. We're going to start with delving on matters concerning cancer and the International Cancer Day, and then we're going to dive into the political and socio-political life of our dear country, Nigeria. All right, I will not do this alone because we have a guest right here in the building and in the studio. He is no other than Dr. Sunday Olatunde. Dr. Olatunde is a clinical pharmacist. He's also a fellow of the West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists. Dr. Sunday, you are very welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for joining. All right. A very auspicious day to have you here as it's the World Cancer Day.
Yes, thank you.
And you've made me to understand you've been sensitizing Nigerians. You've been to about 15 radio stations, television stations, and here you are today on KAFTAN television.
Yes.
Happy to see you.
Thank you.
All right. So tell us in a nutshell, why are we marking the World Cancer Day today?
Oh, thank you very much one more time for having me on the program. The World Cancer Day is usually, will I say, celebrated or marked, let me put it that way.
Yes.
It's usually marked on the 4th of every February of every year. And this essentially is to drum up awareness in order to cause a kind of disruption in the progress of cancer. Everybody will be able to testify or to attest to the fact that cancer has become a kind of a silent killer among us. And if we continue to maintain the silence, the devastation will continue. So in that case, the Union of International Cancer Care has brought it up that every 4th of February of every year, we need to drum up awareness so that prevention, care for cancer patients and treatment, and where possible, where we can accurately stop the progression. If we drum up awareness and education, that we will be able to actually disrupt the silent progression of cancer and stop the devastation.
Right. Okay. Cancer is also usually described as a silent killer.
Yes.
So
yes.
Does cancer actually have to be a death sentence for anyone, or is there a way that
not necessarily so? Not necessarily so.
Okay.
The challenge we have had about cancer is that a lot of people are not aware. They don't know what it is, they don't know what to do, and what they should do early. If people know what to do and what to be done early, a lot of cancer would not be a death sentence. But in many cases, since people don't know, they report to healthcare facility too late, and as a result, it now becomes something that is almost incurable. But it's not incurable. Cancer that are detected early enough can be cured and can be treated without any devastation.
Okay, but there's also this complaint that cancer treatment is pretty expensive. In fact, yesterday's headline in the news had it that cancer patients are crying that they are actually now burdens to their families. So is there any way to ameliorate this high cost of the treatment? Is there any escape route?
Yes, thank you. That's very germane, and for me as a pharmacist, that kind of question should apply to me so much. Because I've been involved in the management of cancer together with a lot of oncologists. And I see how burdened the patients are. Truth be told, the patients are burdened because the medications for, or let me say, the chemotherapy, are quite expensive. When you put that together with average buying power of an average Nigerian, I want to say it is expensive. However, I would like to suggest, because I can only make suggestion at this point, that the government should take a look into that. Taking a look into healthcare insurance, health insurance that can cover cancer treatment, cancer prevention, and everything around cancer. So that, because these people, we are about 240 million, or going to be 240 million soon in Nigeria. And we are talking of a group of people that, for example, like last year, we lost about 72,000 people to cancer, different forms. 72,000 people. And it's like that every year. In 2020, we lost about 88,000 people to the scourge of cancer. I want to tell that the government needs to look at that. Let there be health insurance that covers specifically, medications, treatments, and prevention. Everything about it. Let government put fund in it. Take a look at the program like PEPFAR. PEPFAR is like a program where U.S. government used to supply HIV medicine specifically to different parts of the world. Yes. And of course, if they can do that to Nigeria and other countries, they will be doing it to Americans. If Nigeria government could also pick something like that, good enough and thankful enough for the federal government of Nigeria. I think yesterday or day before yesterday, I had the president released about 4.8 billion naira in order to substitute what the U.S. government is withdrawn from HIV medication. Same can be done for cancer, because this treatment, these people are well traumatized emotionally. At the same time, their finances and their wealth is also going down together with this situation. I want to say that government should take a look at it. Let there be policy, especially in the case of health insurance, that can cover cancer treatment, cancer medications, and so on and so forth. So that's what I would like to advocate to government. And financing for research should also be, increased as much as possible. Because if you have local, remedies to this, the expected cost will be reduced significantly. But because we don't have local remedies, some of these medications are produced in one of the highest level of facilities in many European countries and America, and in that case, to bring it into Nigeria becomes a big deal when we talk of financial implications. Yes, indeed. Okay, please don't forget that this program is your program and it's also interactive. So in the course of the program, you can call in and express your views as well as tell us your experiences. Anyway, I just wanted to ask you, Doctor, can you tell Nigerians some of the preventive measures? Because, I mean, who would want to have cancer? Are there ways we can prevent it, and, escape from the scourge, like you called it? Thank you very much. Let's broaden it a little bit and let people know what cancer is actually. The types of cancer that are, that people suffer. Then we talk of which one is preventable, which one is not preventable. Okay, essentially, cancer is a disease condition in which the DNA of cells of a human being starts growing abnormally, invading the tissue of a particular organ and also spreading to the organs or tissues that are surrounding that tissue. Nobody can exactly tell the cause of any type of cancer, except in the situation when you talk of a cervical cancer, which we can actually implicate a human papilloma virus. But apart from that, it's just that the cells start growing abnormally, and this abnormal growth continue to spread like wildfire, and no one seems to have an understanding of what really made the cell to be growing an abnormal way in the first place, and that's why it has been difficult to actually tame cancer. So having known what cancer is, let's talk of different types of cancer. Some people feel we just have like 5 or 6 types of cancer. Since we understand it is an abnormal growth of cells, it then means that it can happen in any part of the body, and that's why we have something you can call lung cancer if it happens in the lung. Then we have liver cancer if it happens in the liver. We have breast cancer, which is the most prevalent in Nigeria. The one that women suffer most and which has caused more fatality in Nigeria is breast cancer. Second to it is cervical cancer for women.
Oh dear.
For men, it's prostate cancer.
Yeah.
When cancer starts affecting the prostate. When it is the breast, we call it the breast cancer. When it is the cervix, everyone knows that men don't have cervix. It's only women that have cervix. And this cervical cancer is the second most prevalent, as I said before. Okay, apart from that, we have had pancreatic cancer. That is a cancer that is affecting the pancreas of a human being.
Right.
We have had leukemia. That is cancer affecting the blood and the bloodstream and the blood production.
Yes.
We've got skin cancer, the one that's affecting the skin. So any part of the body could have a cancer. And when we talk of types, those are the different types. But some of them are preventable.
Right.
Some are not so preventable.
Doctor, we want those preventive measures.
Preventable cancers, for example, we have cervical cancer.
Okay.
We know that cervical cancer is caused by human papilloma virus.
Right.
When an individual is infected with this particular virus. And we have vaccines that can prevent this. In fact, it's everywhere now. A lot of NGOs are even working on so many of them that we need to raise awareness that people should know that this vaccine is available and that people should come for it. In different primary health care, facility, we have human papilloma cervical cancer vaccine.
Right.
Okay. But apart from this, vaccine prevention, we can as well prevent, cancer by getting the right awareness in order to look for some specific signs. And when you see those signs, or even before you see signs, you make it a kind of lifestyle adjustment to be somebody who go for medical checkup.
Right.
For example, mammogram, for breast examination. Some people wait until they see signs. Because you are not trained to know the sign at the early stage, you may not be able to know when to start taking action. But if you make it as a kind of lifestyle, that maybe every 6 months or every 1 year, you go for breast examination, or every 2 years, you go for breast examination, you are likely going to know if cancer is going to happen. Because cancer don't just start abruptly. It starts small and starts growing unnoticeable.
Yes.
But when we notice it, it may have gone too far.
late,
So everyone should take it as a matter of duty to take the attitude of medical checkup. That's very important for everybody. If you can take a medical checkup serious, you may be able to prevent breast cancer, for example.
Yes.
If you can also do a kind of adjustment of lifestyle. For example, lung cancer has been well associated with smoking. Throat cancer has been well associated with smoking. If you are the type that you know that maybe by genetic, you have seen that in your family line, somebody has got that type of cancer before, there may be propensity by genetics for you as a person.
Yes.
And the kind of lifestyle you should adopt should be that which is not given to smoking.
Right.
And liver cancer has also been linked to excessive consumption of alcohol. And if you know that there's a propensity from your family line, such a person should not go close to excessive intake of alcohol.
Right.
So if you can adjust lifestyle, there's some cancer that are provoked by environmental factors, and some are provoked by exposure to ionizing radiation. So if you know all of these little things, you try as much as possible. Some people are given to heating processed foods, that's industrial foods. I will need to take a look at that as well. That if somebody is given to that kind of thing, colorectal cancer. Okay, what do I mean by colorectal? In the intestinal structure of a human being, we have a place we call colon. We have another place where we call rectum. Right. Okay. When cancer affects the two together, or in between the two, or all together, we call it colorectal cancer. Those who eat too much of processed industrial food, because many of them have a lot of preservatives, colorants that are chemicals, and salt, and too much of salt. In such situation, such people are prone to developing that kind of cancer. So adjustments in terms of lifestyle, taking a look at the environment. When we talk of smoke, some people don't smoke, but they use firewood to cook. And as much as possible, when you are using firewood, I'm a kind of person that grew up from the village, and I understand that many times you blow the fire into flame, and you inhale a lot of smoke. In into the lungs. Such kind of thing also makes someone to be highly predisposed to developing lung cancer and the rest of all of that. So taking a look at vaccine, like in the case of human papilloma virus and cervical cancer, we can use vaccines to prevent that. Taking a look at medical checkup as an attitude, as a kind of attitude we need to adopt, we may be able to prevent breast cancer. Taking a look at lifestyle adjustment, in that also share lifestyle adjustment, such as smoking, such as heavy alcoholism, we may be able to prevent liver cancer and lung cancer, and so on and so forth.
Wow, so those were wonderful preventative tips coming from Dr. Olatunde this beautiful day. We're going to take a short break. In a minute, we'll be right back with the Polity, so please stay with us. Glad to know you're still there, and if you're just joining in, it is the Polity on KAFTAN television, and we're reaching you from our studios in Abuja. I'm Mikki, Attah, and our guest in the studio, as I told you earlier, is Dr. Sunday Olatunde, who is a clinical pharmacist. I am also being joined right at the moment by our guest I told you would join us later, Dooyum Nadzenga. He is the Abuja Bureau Chief of the Daily Times newspaper. He is also its deputy editor. Glad you could make it. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. Okay, well, today being World Cancer Day, we were actually getting a lot of tips, and also we're getting a lot of information from the doctor. So let's pick his brains up until the top of the hour, then we'll delve into the meat of the political aspect of it. So, doctor, I still want to ask you this question. How come that every time you go for treatments, you know, of, let's say, fatal issues, like, let's say, stage 4 cancer, you know, you're already on your way to the great beyond, isn't it? How come the Nigerian doctors, all the medical personnel, do not let, especially the relatives, know that? Why is it always such a well-kept secret? I mean, people end up spending. You spend, you mortgage your land, you sell all your belongings for somebody who you know is on his way to the great beyond. And this isn't done in other parts of the world. They'll tell you categorically, such and such patient has just the next month, the next 3 months, this 6 months maximum to live. Why do you make it shrouded in mystery and make people spend and spend and spend for something you know? I mean, you know that this person is, you know, he's left us.
Thank you very much. That's a very germane question. You see, medicine and pharmacy, they are not practiced in isolation from the culture of the society where they are practiced. In many countries abroad, they have their culture, and that's why if you train anywhere and you come back to a new country to practice,
that's true.
There are some things you must be informed about. You must be taught about some certain things. In our own climb, we believe culturally that no one has absolute say on the life of a human being. No matter what your orthodox medicine has taught you, no man actually has absolute say. There are people that you will have written off and say this will not make it, but eventually they make it. You look like you are no longer a professional. So in that case, that situation, we believe that nobody has a final say upon the life of anybody. Therefore, you cannot just condemn somebody to death just like that. Just because you have some medical parameters and facts does not mean that you hold the life of the person. That's about that. So
I'm not convinced.
Yes, I'm
not convinced. Okay, because you didn't say with absolute fatality. We didn't say you are God pronouncing.
Yes.
King Hezekiah, you will be going on. No, now, but just say from your medical. Okay, isn't it better? Like you say, you have 6 months to live, and the person lives for 20 years, he can come to his church now and give a testimony.
Yes.
Rather than you watching all the relatives sell their land, sell their houses, kill themselves for the person that is already.
Okay, no one is that wicked. See, hope is what takes us to bed and wakes us up every morning and every day. Anytime you declare a person hopeless. Even if that person is not sick before that time, from that moment that person becomes sick. Okay. So yes, that's how it is practiced. You cannot declare anybody dead when it's not dead yet. Okay. Yes.
Our doctor says we must keep hope alive and hope against hope. Okay.
Yes. So before we go into politics, you are welcome, sir. It's good. It's nice meeting you, at least for the first time today. West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists.
Right.
The Association of Fellows are the ones that send me here.
Yeah.
Come and speak to this particular issue of cancer. Today is World Cancer Day, where we're drumming up awareness about the scourge of cancer in our society and globally, actually.
Yes.
That cancer has become a big threat to the life of nearly everybody. If you don't have somebody who is suffering from it, somebody is drawing money from you to treat cancer. In fact, I just lost somebody. I went to Cross River to actually go and bury the person last week.
Sympathy.
Yes, she died of breast cancer, and that's not the first one. So while the treatment is going on, at the time the person that is sick will no longer be able to walk and will continue to need money.
Yes.
And by that we have to depend on people around to continue to contribute money around there. In the course of all of this, we lost her, and we needed to take the body to Cross River State to bury. So I sincerely want to appeal to everybody, to all Nigerians,
yes,
men and women. The most prevalent cancer we have, they are the breast cancer and cervical cancer for women, and for prostate cancer for men. Please let us be aware. Let's take advantage of education. For prostate cancer, I was talking of prevention the other time.
Right.
If you are a type that actually check as a regular, that's taking medical checkup as regular as possible, you will know before you get to the level of a prostate cancer. For example, if you do an average abdominopelvic scan, it's going to report the size of the prostate.
Yes.
And we recommend that for everybody that is 40 years and above, that you do it as regularly as like 1 year, every 1 year. And if you do PSA, prostate specific antigen assay, you just collect a sample of your blood in the laboratory and see whether you have more than necessary quantity or concentration of a prostate specific antigen enzyme in your blood. If that is going high, somebody can easily tell you that be watchful, because this may eventually develop. But where people don't know that this kind of thing is available, and they just live life, one day you just hear that somebody has got prostate cancer, and it's not supposed to be, because such is preventable. Even if the person will eventually have prostate cancer, if it is detected early, there are a lot of remedies that can be taken into consideration. But when it's not detected early, because there's a stage of cancer, we call it a metastasized cancer, a cancer that has left the level of the organ that is primarily affected to other parts of the body. That becomes very difficult to treat, because if you are deploying chemotherapy, you are going to deploy to the entire system, and chemotherapy is also devastating in its own. So you don't want to direct it to all organs. If you can be so specific, that will be better. For some people have got their breast removed. If cancer get to a certain level, and that's still far better than when you have left the cancer to have affected kidney from the breast, to have gone to the liver from the breast. That becomes very difficult to treat. So let's take advantage of education, this awareness to prevent, to get to early detection, and to also take treatment,
regular medical checkups and that kind of thing. So I wanted to find out from you, there are some people who just are very stubborn and resistant. You can find that maybe like somebody who has a swollen, cancerous growth. And no, I'm sticking with that, my toe. No, I'm sticking with that. I've seen people who were asked that, look, the cancer has spread so far on your leg. People I know, and they're like, no, I'm sticking with this leg. All you have to do is have that amputation, which is not even the whole leg, maybe from knee down. They will be die in it, and not literally. They die of that part of the leg. What can you say to people like that to change their mindset?
It's still the level of education they have.
All right.
If you are properly briefed about the consequences, and you have experienced it from somebody else before, you wouldn't want to get there. When the person is seeing that tumor on that particular localized area of the body, he thought that's the whole that can happen. I didn't know that if that thing goes beyond that level, it's not just because somebody may die. It's because you may even spend everything you have before you even eventually die.
Okay.
Or you may not even die, but everything you have got that is a source of livelihood could have gone even before you get to. So if people know the consequences, consequences is always very important. It's always important that you try to display consequences before people, and that will guide their actions. The other time I was on another station talking about drug abuse. We were talking and people were taking it so lightly and all that. And if you have seen people who have been entangled in drug abuse and the people around them, what the consequences has been, I tell you, you wouldn't want it to happen to your enemies, not to talk of your friend. And that's how it is when we don't know what the consequences may be. We take some things for levity and we think it's just as simple
as it looks.
Yes.
After all, what will happen more than this? Something must kill a man. So something is going to kill a man. So let me just leave it there. It's not all about dying. It's about the quality of life you're living while you're alive.
The kind of pain that cancer patients pass through.
Yeah. I've heard about cancer pain.
If it's possible to transit from where you are to the stage of death, that would have been quite easy.
Yeah.
And everybody will, matter of time, will recover from mourning and all that.
Yeah.
But when you don't have control to even take your life, but you have to pass through some excruciating pain. And some people are on that for like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and they are not dead yet. And this pain, when you talk of medications that we use to manage cancer pain, there are medicines that ordinarily you don't want to give to anybody, apart from chemotherapy. The pain, we are talking of controlled drugs, narcotics. High level of narcotics to manage it. You know, those drugs we don't want to give to anybody because of dependency and addiction. But in this case, we jettison addiction
because you don't want the person to even die of pain instead of dying of cancer.
I'm telling you. So this pain is always quite excruciating. Everybody wants to be in that level. Now, it's the consequences that people are not aware of. If you are familiar with the consequences, you don't want to go close to it. I don't want to.
So one last question. We're going to change the topic now. We want to know there's a Nigerian Cancer Foundation, a Nigerian Council. What's that about?
Yes, it's still the same thing.
Okay.
Today, Union of International Cancer Care.
Okay.
It's a kind of global union, and we have national level of it. Okay, that's what that is. Still the same thing to draw up awareness. Because education is the key. If you understand what cancer is and you know the consequences, and there is something you can do to probably prevent it, you will want to do it. And they are essentially to drum up awareness. Not only for today. They have been there. If you watch some other stations, sometimes they have programs that they actually do in order for people to know what cancer is.
But cancer is suffering like it's a little orphan amongst the scale of preference, because once something like COVID comes in, who's going to remember cancer? Then we have HIV/AIDS. Cancer is going further down the pecking order. Then we want to give inoculation, like you said, for one thing or the other. Cancer is moving further back down the order of interest. So maybe like today now we're here talking cancer, World Cancer Day. By tomorrow, what is cancer? I'll be talking about how the price of petrol is affecting the government and stuff like that. So how are we going to keep that awareness pumping out? Like you said, because that's the secret to early detection and prevention.
Yes, the primary function will lie in the hand of government and the hand of various professional bodies in healthcare system in Nigeria.
Okay. How about the NGOs?
Yes, they are also a part of it, because when we talk of government, non-governmental, civil society, we also, one way or the other, be a part of government. Okay, so when we talk of that, government will need to take it, because government drives everything. All of us live in Nigeria because government exists. Okay, so government drives everything. Governments must have this kind of mindset that it is not when we become a victim we start taking action. We can as well prevent ourselves from being a victim. So must continue the awareness. Different professional bodies, Association of Oncologists, Association of Oncology Pharmacists, Association of Nursing, Association of different associations in the healthcare system. It's not just it's a multidisciplinary issue that we are dealing with here. Everybody should be up there to raise awareness about cancer.
Okay, thank you. That's a very, very interesting and educative one. What we've picked away from that is our lifestyle. For one thing, we should be going for a test. I hope it's not something that the test is going to even knock somebody over. Somebody in this office went to have a full medical, and it was like 70-something thousand naira, barring any treatment or medicine. So I hope the test is not something that's even going to give the person high blood pressure and all that. So anyway, let's just switch over. We've done enough on cancer. We've done our civil best as good citizens on cancer. That has been as much as we can take on World Cancer Day today. And my advice to any doctor treating me: listen, if you see that I'm going off, tell me. You only me. Forget about the others. Listen, it's me that will have hope. Hope is in my heart. Tell me. Don't keep me in the hospital. Anyway, so much for that. All right. Yesterday.
Yes.
No, this wasn't yesterday. Like last month, was it? Or towards the end of December, the telecom giants in Nigeria announce how they're suffering. They spend so much on input costs and all the costs and all that. So they're going to hike the tariffs by 100%. They said all your data and your telephone calls are going to be hiked by 100%. Eh? Well, the federal government, had a quick intervention and now announced to us in January that they've been able to talk with the telcos and that it's now going to be a 50% hike. Now, 50% is also steep. The same time, federal government announced they were about to increase the electricity tariff, which for now is on hold, pending or on hold. Now that is off.
Yeah.
Now, we are in the studio have always maintained that, look, a telecom increase is inevitable. Prices of everything skyrocket.
Yes.
So there's nothing you're going to buy, nothing, that the prices are still the same. So we agree that the prices have been static. But 50% at one blow, Nigerians weren't happy about that. The Nigerian Labour Congress jumped up and said, well, listen, we're going to boycott all the telecom companies and then we're going to go on a nationwide strike, which was supposed to take off today. Federal government waited, then yesterday called them for a meeting, closed-door meeting. Well, the outcome of the closed-door meeting was that the strike is no more taking place today.
Yes.
But they're now going to set up. Why are you now setting the committee up? They're now going to set up this committee, and then from its outcome. So now, what we want to look at essentially, number one, these telecoms, were they fair to us? Were they really fair to us to have given us that 50% hike? They want to look at NLC, essentially their behavior. Have they been consistent? Are they turning themselves into laughing stock? Once your laborers call for strike, we know what will happen next. Are they, not behaving too well? So those are the two aspects we want to look at. Okay, you try the first half.
Okay, fine, great. Thanks so much. The issue is really of interest to me as a person.
Right.
And the debates about the increase in the tariffs, we've had conversation around that. We've done analysis. We've got experts who spoke to the issues, and whether the telcos are fair to us is a different discussion entirely. I wouldn't say they are fair or not fair because they are in business, and then the hallmark of any business venture is profit maximization. And then if you look at the quality of service that they are providing, at what cost? Generally, the cost of living in Nigeria has also upped. And I think this is to a very large extent occasioned by certain government policies that I personally am not very comfortable with, right? Nigerians are going through a lot, and it's expected that the challenges, the pain, the hunger, and all of those would continue, and on and on and on. Now, the position of the NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress, to me, as far as I'm concerned, the Nigerian Labour Congress also remains a toothless bulldog. It doesn't make the opposition does not make any impact. It's just they come, make the noise, and then go for negotiation with government, and then once the leaders are settled, everybody goes. So that has continued. Some time ago, Nigerians, when certain government decisions were made, and then the Nigerian populace felt this is not really they're not very comfortable with it, rather increase their pain and all of those. The end bad governance protest, for instance. How did it go? It appears to me that we have a government, yes, that's my thinking. It appears to me that we have a government in place that doesn't actually listen to the people. That's on the one side. And as such, whatever becomes of the people is to a very large extent inconsequential as far as they're concerned, those in power. That may be very strong, but I think I've paid attention, I've listened to, put my ears on the ground, and then I've listened to, I interact with Nigerians on a daily basis. In the course of my work, I go to sometimes the remotest parts of Nigeria to take a look and do an on-spot assessment of situations around. You know. So we wait to see. Now they have shelved it off, but the whole thing remains a wake-up call to Nigerians. The times have become extremely difficult. It's getting tougher by the day, and it's left to us to decide what we would make with our lives. Or what I tell people by the sidelines, I've decided this is what I'm going to make out of my life for myself, regardless of government position on issues and all of those. For the telcos, yes, they're in business, so you won't blame them for any hike. If for instance, the media industry, because of how essential and important the services they provide are, media we know is also not cheap, and those media entrepreneurs who have also ventured into this industry to do business, you would also not begin to say this, that, and all of those. So to balance the whole thing, it's essential that the government becomes more sensitive, and elsewhere in advanced climes, to the best of my knowledge, there are certain sectors of the economy that the government subsidizes. So I think if a government understands that certain decisions or certain sectors that are very essential given this type of service or the nature of services that they provide are very important, then there should be a government intervention in those sectors to ensure that at least some level of subsidy is provided, so that the hardships or the effect of whatever business model that a business service provider in that sector comes up with, Nigerians are still able to absorb it. Labour on the other side, they should be more sincere in their agitations for, interventions of government or calling on strike. Going on strike to me is not the best of options.
Yeah, but if you were to ask somebody in labor, he would tell you that strike is the only language government hears. And
I'm not sure. I'm not sure strike is the only language government.
That's what labor is saying.
I only don't believe it's the only language the government listens to. We've had strike over issues. I think, and the other side of it is that when you embark on a strike, we're shutting down the economy completely. And then look at the production activities that would improve on the quality of lives. And then because you are in protest over a particular thing, in this case, this is not just the decision of government. It's also government was rather trying to intervene and then see how best they could. For once, let's give some kudos to government for trying to come in. The telcos came up and said they're going to do a lot of equipment, and government said, please, let's see. At least let's give them some kudos. So Lagos still starting up to say this and that. So let's wait to see how the whole thing.
It has worked because the government has announced that it's going to be 15% rather than 50%. Dr. Olatunde, what's your take?
Yes, I would like to just add a little thing to what he has said. He has been quite extensive in his, response to it. I believe, you see, the Nigerian Labour Congress should be more scientific. It should be more scientific and not necessarily live on emotions. The telcos have been maintaining this particular tariff for a long time.
10 years.
For 10 years.
Yes.
And we all know that things have changed over time. The floating of Naira has caused a kind of devaluation, which is almost times 2, times 3, times 4. If you want to take the value of a dollar in the last 10 years to what we have now, is more than times 4. And many of the services these people provide, the instruments they use to provide these services are dollar denominated. So in that case, I practice in the pharmaceutical sector. I'm a pharmacist and I run pharmaceutical business.
Right.
And I understand that as we speak, the price of medications are not the same thing with what we have in the last 2 years, not to talk of what we have in the last 10 years.
Right.
So on this case, on this note, I think the telcos are reasonable. All that is important is the negotiation. They wanted 100%. It was negotiated to 50%, and now lower than that. Negotiation is what it is. Now, when labor, in this case, we are talking about private entity, not government, company. They want to increase. And besides, you don't even tell anybody how much you should sell. It's a services or product. He only he sells his services or product based on the cost that can keep him in the market. Costs that can keep him in the market. If it's extravagantly high, people will boycott him. So if he wants to still be in that market, he will put a reasonable. But going to the side of labor, if you have this particular data or information, who do you want to punish? You want to punish Nigerians for the same Nigerians that are passing through the increase in the tariff. So because that's what it is, at the end of it, you will shut down businesses, you will shut down the government functioning facilities, and the people that will bear for example, if the labor is on strike, healthcare professionals may not go to work. Cancer patients, as we just discussed, will not have treatment, and many other things will go to the wire. In such situation, I will expect that labor should have a kind of scientific arm of them that can go into what the reality was 10 years ago when that price was fixed, and what is the reality as we speak now. So if they can come up with that kind of data or fact, they will be able to take informed decision.
Fine. And not just that, I think to add to that, I also strongly believe that before jumping to, I don't know the efforts they have made to come in, try to see how they will shift the position of the telcos and government so that the effect or whatever decisions that both the telcos and government arrival would have been felt on the populace. What efforts, what other negotiations did they actually adopt? Factoring in that you are not dealing with not just the government position on issues, you're also dealing with the private sector player.
Yes.
Who is in business. And then like my colleague has said, my friend has said, if you look at the cost of service provision, cost of doing business globally, and particularly within the context of Nigerian society, given the increase in dollar and several other factors, I mean, it's also fair that the service that was provided at an XYZ amount yesterday should naturally shift so that you will remain in business. Right,
but look at it this way, right? Don't you think that there's also the economies of scale? So if we just sit back and just say, okay, over these past 10 years, cost of input has increased, everything is dollar denominated. Okay, that's fine. What about the economies of scale, which economists also refer to, because those are profit making as well. 10 years ago, what was the subscription base? Year in, year out, they keep posting gigantic subscription bases. Everybody now, well, let me not use the word everybody, but a lot of people now have their aged mothers and grandmothers in the village. They all have a handset. You understand? So everybody's buying some measure of, everybody's clicked into it. So when that happens, you would have expected that profit is rolling in there as well. You cannot just keep making us listen to, dollar has increased. What about the numbers, the economy of scale? So many more people are now your subscribers. Everywhere you look, you're making money. Sometimes you drive down the road, you have to be very cautious. Somebody is crossing the road in the phone. The other one is tapping on data. The other one, you understand? So it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous.
That's why I suggested that, you see, that labor should be scientific. When you talk of being scientific, yes, you will go to where we started from. What was it? Yes. What were the factors that determine what we were doing? Yes. And today, what exactly is the reality? What is the factor that is determining what we are doing now? From there, labor will come up with, okay, scientifically, these people are ripping us off. scientifically, these people are barely making gain.
Right.
From there, you know what to do, because we are going to the extreme of your action. Because strike is the extreme of any action from labor. So if you are going when you have not actually found this kind of data or facts out, and you say you are going to the extreme of your action, that I don't think that is good enough. I would like them to be more scientific, and I think they have a department for research now. They should have that if they don't have. And if they cannot keep a department like that, they can collaborate with researcher to be able to research this kind of thing, so that they can be talking with facts and figures.
Right.
And then again, before
facts and figures, I really like that part.
Before it appears I'm here to crucify NLC.
All this, they are just more emotional, dealing with facts.
So because we've had instances in the past where there are, demands pushing for this, threatening government with strike, this, that haven't really resulted in any positive effects. So it appears to me that some people are using the paraphernalia or the umbrella of the NLC, the situations come up and then they cash in on that and cash out.
To cash in, to cash out. Oh my goodness.
So that's the way sometimes I don't have fact about that.
No facts and figures. Okay, gentlemen. Listen, okay, well, look, let's look at it this way, right? We look at minimum wage, at least that succeeded. Because some people are very, very comfortable paying some people 30,000 naira, even in today's realities. Very, very comfortable. Whilst, they expend millions and they even dash people money and all that kind of a thing. So at least at some areas, the strike has been the only way. Talk about it.
Nobody didn't really succeed on minimum wage.
Well, maybe to some extent.
The negotiation was due. In fact, was overdue. By Nigerian law and constitution. That was supposed to be done like every 4 years. So it was due and overdue. And it is expected that an amount must be added to it. The extent is what we don't know. If whether labor intervened or did not intervene.
But if they didn't intervene,
at least if I will have to give them any credits for that at all, about 150,000 will have been what I expect as minimum wage in Nigeria.
Oh, they asked for 1 million.
They asked for 1 million, but they couldn't get. They even couldn't get 100,000. They were able to get 70,000. That's 70,000. If nobody negotiated, government will even give us 70,000. After all, for almost 5 or 6 years, it was 30,000. By the time
5 or 6 years.
Yes, now.
Before that, what was it? 18,000 naira for 21 years.
You know that they got about 80% increase. So if you did 80% increase to 30,000, you will still be getting 50-something thousand. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if labor did not intervene to negotiate for people or whatever. We will still have been able to get 70,000. I would have loved to give them credit for that if they got 150,000 minimum.
I like the ambition. 150,000, but people are arguing because as like the reality on ground is that there's so many people unemployed. An army of unemployed people, then there's an army of people who are not like, should I call them registered labor, organized labor. So those people are like the artisans, the tailors, the people who repair things, the welders and all that. So what are you going to say for them? Are they going to come and join you on the strike, or are you going to pay them that minimum wage? So you can imagine a woman who cooks. The restaurant isn't so sophisticated enough to call it a restaurant. Let's just say she cooks, and then she has these 2 girls who are helping. So they like help, grind the tomatoes, do this and do that. You're going to pay those 270,000 naira, considering what is going to be your profit margin, or you spend all the money paying your staff minimum wage.
I don't think those could be said to be employment per se.
Right.
Yes, I mean you just have people who assist in a petty business or trade in that. Yes. And those category or the demographics of people who provide those services, in fact they will abhor strike by any because it affects their livelihood.
Yes.
Oh goodness. A woman, for instance, who makes makes kobo from the daily semo that she makes or rice that she does by the side. And then there's a particular community, for instance, and then she goes there, and then the office decides to go on strike. You know, that's going to affect her.
Right.
So I think that the devil consider strike as the only way out of negotiating with government over issues. They should also factor that
the people that they even fell down on strike.
That's why I said, who do they want to punish?
That's the thing.
It's still the same people who are suffering from the government policy or the telcos that you are going to punish with your...
You don't say you are protesting, or you are moving or mobilizing to protest against, that you are actually punishing. And that's why I made that statement.
I don't want Labour to come after you, so I want you to end it there. But let's concentrate on these telcos now, because I am totally underwhelmed by the quality of service that they render.
Yes,
and I must tell you, to give you a very solid example. You know, once I went for medical tourism somewhere, and that country is where you're going to find a whole lot of, I don't want to mention them, but one of these telecoms, they have like a headquarters over there. My goodness, I could not believe what was going on. First of all, I had to, you know, for me to register my SIM and everything, so I just thought, okay, I'll do that the next day. So when I went over to the hospital, you know, it was time to go back. So I said to a passerby, hello, excuse me, please, I just came in from Nigeria. Do you mind, can I just call the person who, you know, I came along with on your phone? Said, yeah, sure, go ahead. And gave me the phone and disappeared. I'm not joking. At this point, you know, everybody will look the same because I don't know anybody. So, is that man? Is this he was ready to just leave the phone. I mean, calls are so cheap, it's unreal. And then the minute you dial, as you finish removing your finger, the call goes through, and there's nothing like drop calls. Then you come over here, drop call, I pay. Any mistake, your mistake, I pay. Everything you do wrong is my problem. Okay, like here, sometimes in the studio we have live calls. Calls would have been coming in. Sometimes we have shut down of calls, not from us. No network. There is no network. We can't do anything. You go to the bank, they affect every sector. You don't factor those in when you're increasing your price. So if you want to increase the price, to me, I would say, please increase the services. Keep them up to international best practices and standards, just like we're seeing, especially where your head offices are. My goodness, I say calls are so cheap. So I later even got the SIM, got the phone, and of course the first place I hit was Nigeria. So I called everybody I knew in Nigeria who was really, because everybody, you know, would be wondering, you know, if you've gone in, what was the outcome? Is it going to be surgery and all that? And I said, let me check. I know by now everything is finished. It wasn't dented. It wasn't hit. All international calls. But here, open your mouth. Hello, doctor, please, can you come and be my guest at my studio tomorrow? I look at it, it's gone. Sometimes I say, let me load this, let me increase it, everlasting increase and everlasting shortchange. So Nigerians are being shortchanged, you know. So it's not what we're saying. We're not too wrong in speaking out. What you are trying to say, the wrong methodology. It should be more scientific, not going on strikes. But we are still being pained and affected by stuff like this issue of very poor services from our telcos, incomparable to international standards, and we would like to see a shift and an improvement. So we have run out of time on the program. So let me just get your last word from Dr. Olatunde, then I'll get your last word from you.
Thank you. Very quick. It's been an interesting conversation. Actually, what you just brought up is very germane. It's a sincerity of purpose. When government negotiates on behalf of the people, we need to take a look at it. We also need to take a look at the investment of government in expanding the facility for communication. There is a part that the government needs to enable. There's a part that the telcos need to enable. If the telcos are living up to expectation and government is not living up to expectation, you will see this kind of thing. Because I cannot imagine when I make a call, I couldn't hear somebody properly and clearly, yet I'm charged for it in Nigeria. When the NCC, that's Nigerian Communications Commission, that is supposed to regulate, they see all of this and they are not saying anything. I want to suspect maybe somebody has actually sold Nigeria for a kobo while they are negotiating or while they are dealing with these telcos. I think we need to take a look at aspect of corruption, because many of the things that we don't get in Nigeria, they are actually children of corruption. Dooyum, your last word.
All right, fine. And it's like we said, we really need to re-examine the issues. The quality of service We have regulatory frameworks that should check this, and I think if that is firmed up,
yes,
I think we can begin to make maybe submissions on the basis of if we're actually getting the real value for the services that we're paying for.
Real value for the services that we pay for. Right. It's been a wonderful conversation today on the polity, and that's as much as we can actually take. We're totally out of time. Thank you very much, Dr. Sunday Olatunde. Thank you very much, Mr. Dooyum Zinga. I'm going to have you back very soon.
All right.
Okay, I'm Mikki Attah saying have a really great day. Thank you for staying with us on the polity. Stay on now with KAFTAN Television. Bye-bye.